distinguished colleagues. Alhassan Ado Doguwa is my name, and by the grace of God, the leader of the 9th House of Representatives. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, while I rise to support this all-important motion, which is not only apt, but is timely, Mr. Speaker, I would like to ride on the strength of your inaugural speech, where you told Nigerians on your honor that this House, the 9th House of Representatives, will be run with a lot of difference. Mr. Speaker, you said it clearly that in the process of doing that, bringing your ambitious reforms process, legislatively and in terms of procedures, you said clearly that, of course, you may be bound to shake the table. Mr. Speaker, while this House and the great members of these great chambers wait very anxiously for you to marshal out the legislative agenda of the 9th House of Representatives, I want to believe that the motion under discussion has fallen squarely on those matters that we must have to address aggressively. This situation, Mr. Speaker, has become so much out of hand that in a situation where you are running a federation, you find out that our civil servants, especially the bureaucratic aspect of it, doing all sorts of things they would like to do, all in the name of employment, and in the end, you find out that you have a lot of erratic processes, undermine of the federal character principle, and what you can summarily call bureaucratic impunity. Mr. Speaker, in my view, this motion should not only be taken seriously, but this House must take into consideration that the issue of employment under the Nigerian civil service forms part of your aggressive legislative agenda. On this note, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that while we'll consider setting up a committee, the House itself, through your able leadership, must take note of this and make sure that while we come up with a legislative agenda, this important point raised by this motion is captured aptly and is captured in a way that this House will do a lot of things differently in respect of Nigerian civil service. Two other things that I have to raise in connection to this discussion, Mr. Speaker. In fact, it has not been raised by any other speaker before myself. It's the very unfortunate process, the very unfortunate happening all over the Federation, where you find out that this institution and our honorable members, innocent members, are being indicted for being involved in the employment of Nigerians into various agencies. My dear colleagues can bear me witness that virtually every 24 hours, every day in, day out, one or few of us will be called upon from their constituencies that the House of Representatives and the Senate, by extension, are the only two institutions that are involved in the employment processes in the Nigerian civil service. And you can all agree with me, this is a capital lie. It does not happen. Yes. This motion and this House, Mr. Speaker, must strive to address this problem where our members are being indicted innocently. Agencies recruit, agencies hire, they make their employment without any due regards to these institutions. Whereas you find our constituents holding us responsible that we have to intervene before they get employment. It's not done. And you members of the press must also help this institution to disabuse the minds of Nigerians that it's never the business of this House employing Nigerians in any of the federal government agencies. Even though we have the right to be consulted through our relevant committees. You are employing Nigerians. And employment has fallen under the direct purview of our responsibility as representatives of our great people. So it's not going to be out of order if agencies consult us through our relevant committees and make possible inputs in terms of employment. But when such is not being done, Mr. Speaker, I see no reason why this kind of speculations, which is going by way of blackmail, should continue. So I want to take seriously that the members of the press should help us disabuse the minds of Nigerians, and relevant committees that are likely to come up in a few weeks to come should also take this very seriously so that at the end, this House and this institution of the National Assembly is not indicted innocently. Mr. Speaker, the second point is that in the process of this kind of civil service employment, because of the erratic process they are going through, it has now become the order of the day, where you find fraudulent people, fraudsters, engage into the process. And through online communication, you find some people extorting monies from Nigerians in the name of promising them to give them a job. And in the end, they will collect their money through banks' accounts, and at the end of the day, you find out jobs are not forthcoming. In a situation like this, Mr. Speaker, this House must rise to its own responsibility. Members must also rise to their responsibility when they come to work in their various committees, standing committees, to make sure that this is part of the reforms that Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, is going to engender. We must collectively entrench this idea and this practice of appropriety in the process of governance and in the process of employment wherever we find ourselves involved. Mr. Speaker, this is my take, and I want to, by way of summary, call on the honorable members of this House to give this motion an unprecedented support, because it is a motion that borders on the interests of our people directly. It borders on our interests. It also borders on our responsibilities as members representing our dear people in our various and respective constituencies. Mr. Speaker, that is my take, and I thank you for giving me